Ladies, gentlemen, welcome back. And in today's video, we are going to look through all the seasons and kind of determine which season has the most value for you to unlock. So, could be quite useful for new players to kind of like potentially go back to a different season and unlock this season because it has maybe 2 useful or even 3 useful units. So what we're going to do first is we're going to scroll through all the seasons, just kind of discuss, kind of help myself kind of decide where we're going to put them. And then once we finish that, we're going to go to a tier list and we're going to set them S to A tier, S to D or whatever the lowest tier is there, F tier. And anyway, from there, we can decide which one is top, which one I would probably go to unlocking first, especially if you're a new player, because those first 200 levels you are set with like AI and bots, and you can just capitalize on killing those and doing all the challenges, and they're super easy. So yes, we'll start off and we'll go to the scrolling wheel here and see which ones where we're going to put them. Just have a little discuss, and then once we've moved on from this, we'll put them on a tier list. Okay, so we will start off with season 2. That obviously, this is going to be a quick one. This, I'm thinking, is going to probably fall quite low on our list. Namcam's not really worth it. Slamcheds, no. Korchins, no. Terceregs, no. Would love to see these guys get buffed, but Keshigs, they're okay, but then they're kind of a shade of their former self. So we'll see where this falls on the list. Moving on, Soldiers of Fortune. Now this has the added bonus of obviously Maul, having the Maul that you can unlock at the same time. That's good. Quarterly Guards, they are okay in blue tier lock, but they fall off. Fortebraccios used to be really good. 40s used to be good, but they've fallen off just a bit at the moment. I feel like you're better off with Halb Sergeants or even Halberdiers these days, unless you're kind of TW and you've got like a wall to hide these guys behind in a kind of set positioning. But it's not so bad. Falconettis, a lot of fun, but niche again. TW. This is a good TW season, I'd say. And Pavis you can unlock in the honor tree as well as unlocking them here. So depending how you want to go about that, there's not that much value with unlocking them here, wasting your time. And then obviously Maul, that's probably the highest value thing you can get out of this season, I would say. So from value, I think it's doing quite well. If you're into TW, you got these two that can be good, and then you got Maul, that's obviously one of the best weapons in the game. So yeah, could be high up there. Scrolling back, for some reason it's put us there. Blood of Empires. Janissaries, very good, and they are probably one of the best, I think the best blue or tier 3 gun you can get. They do kind of get overshadowed now by things like Rattan Marksman with the Rattan Doctrine from the Doctrine Alchemy, but they're still nonetheless very good. Azaps, no, just they fall off. Sealadars are fun to play, and I have a lot of good times with Sealadars, but they are you can do better with Reapers, Iron Reapers, and Stompy Cav, terrible. No, just not worth the leadership. And these two can give you some rewards, but you know it's negligible. So I feel like this season will fall quite far down on the tier list. Moving on to Legacy of Fire, Zycalian Militia. Very, very good. Strong. Solid. Can be good through all tiers. Hard to play, but if you play it properly, so dominant, can totally crush a push. Stalwarts. Stalwarts are good. They're kind of mid-tier shields, but they're more of an aggressive shield. More damage than, let's say, Imperial Spear Guard. But they're good. They are good. They're a solid unit, just, you know, kind of mid-pack. You're not going to do badly. You might not do that well, but yeah, they're okay. I like them. Paladins have been totally overthrown by their men-at-arms brothers. Men-at-arms, obviously in the unit tree. You want to mastery the men-at-arms if you want them to be a very solid unit. So Paladins fallen off on that regard. I'd like to see Paladins make a return because they were like hard to play, but if you played them properly, it makes sense. And then Flamethrowers, again, kind of TW, very good for that. Hard to play, but if it goes well, it goes well. Fun to play. Also irritating at the same time. This I feel like is going to be a mid-tier, but we'll see when we get to the list. Okay, Scourge of Winter. Lanchnecks. These guys, good tower rushers. A good tier 3. Kind of a fire and forget. Send them in. Press their kind of slashing axe button, and then you're probably not going to get many of them back. But yeah, Armature Lancers used to be, in my opinion, the best PvE cavalry because you just set them on roam and you roam around. And like when you're doing your bandit raids, these were incredibly good to do that with. But I feel like they've fallen off for a one later down the list. So yeah, Liao Rangers again used to be very dominant. They're still good, but they're nowhere near where they used to be. There is other stuff further down that is much better. So I feel like this season is going to be mid to low for me, but we'll see. Wolves of Ragnarok, Sons of Fenrir, blue, tier 3, very good at hero killing, but once their beast mode's over and done with, their 2 button, I believe it is, they can fall off massively. But if you can catch people out with them and or take them over to archers, they're very good at wiping higher tier archers. So they have a place kind of all through the tiers if you know what you want to do with them and you're focusing on killing range. People's Shenjis, people's Tercios, that sort of thing. Or people's, now that they're fully mastery, people's rats. Oh, what are they called? Like Imperial Artabutus and Kriegsrats. That's the one. Berserkers have fallen off massively. Again, used to be a bit of a problem child. I tend to not like units with low unit counts, and these guys have a low unit count. That means if you lose 1 or 2 of them, you've lost a lot of your strength. That kind of is a bit irritating. So yeah, they've fallen off massively. And then Shield Maidens. Shield Maidens aren't bad. They've got a good few buffs that they do when you play them right. Played right, they can be a solid force, but problem is they used to be the sort of put into cover commander with their sword mode on, roam around, kill a lot of things. And now Men-at-Arms have sort of taken that role, considering they heal all the time. You know, you get into combat, you win the combat with Men-at-Arms, and then you're moving to the next combat point. They'll be full health by the time they get there, where these ladies won't be. But nonetheless, the buffs can be good. Play properly, yeah. So that's Wolves of Ragnarok. And then Dynasty. Dynasty, again, we've got a advantage of having a hero weapon in here. But we'll start off with the Cuddle Monks. Quite fun to play. They've got this interesting slow mechanic to them when they do their windmill. But apart from that, they can just get collapsed pretty easily. Greyhair Garrison, or the Old Men. They're good. They're coming back, actually. I've noticed last season, I've seen them a bit more often, and in the right scenario where things can't get around them down a small hallway, playing them quite aggressively, play them on the damage of excellency line, they can do quite nicely. They really can. And then we got Pike as a weapon, so this adds a little bit of advantage to this season that you're getting more out of it. Pike as a weapon, it's easy to play, hard to master. Pike, technically, if you're good at it and you do your animation cancelling properly and you play it well, or you master it, you're an incredibly hard person to beat. But if you're kind of just good at it, then it can kind of, yeah. But if you master it, then yeah, you can become basically unbeatable. You're very, very good at taking on multiple people purely because you can do your slipping back into you have a knockdown basically every 2 seconds if you want to. Yeah, so it's good. And then Madao. Madao are pretty good at the moment. Obviously, as an anti-cav, with a cav running around, they're really nice for that. They can do okay in it, like infantry versus infantry fights. but they're not top tier when it comes to that. But they're an all-rounder. They're a jack of all trades, I feel, at this current point in time. Can get a bit annoying to lose them to infantry when you're just kind of waiting around for cavalry, and people will avoid, especially in sieges, will avoid you massively if they've got the cav out and they see these guys. So sometimes it helps to disguise them, but yeah, at the end of the day, they're kind of easy to avoid. But they were good anti-cav. So this season, I'd say it's looking okay. Tyranny, we have the Outriders, a very annoying tier 3 cav. It's a jav cav, so you don't really charge it in or do anything like that with it. You stand around lobbing jabs, take them to resupply point, resupply, come back, throw explosive jabs, and annoy people. They can get wiped, but they can also do incredibly well. When I say incredibly well, that's more you can basically just annoy people so much that with their range that they have to move away, or their infantry that they know they can't get to you in time to kill your cav, but if the alternative is standing there getting peppered, they'll just move away. So they're quite good at like disrupting from that regard. Axe Raiders, a solid mid-tier unit. They're not bad, they're not incredible. But if you don't like the aiming and the kind of how javs can be quite squishy, these guys are quite good if you're getting into javs, is what I'm kind of trying to say. If you're getting into javs and you want to get into a throwing unit, these are a good tester to get into that, because they're sort of in between throwing and being fairly okay at melee in the right scenario. So yeah, can recommend. They're okay. And then Shenjis can be unlocked from the unit tree, but obviously you can also get them from here. Shenjis are, again, this is a very disrupting season in terms of it's all about kind of like you can throw with your Shenjis, throw your grenades, and it might not kill too many, but it will just force people to go, oh, this guy up here has got Shenjis. We either got to go kill him or we've got to move away. And also in big chunks of like head-on-head infantry fights, if someone comes in with these and lobs it in, it basically means your team will win that infantry fight if you land a good sequence of grenades. So a strong season, Tyranny, a strong season. Moving on, Highlands. Bagpipes, I'm a big fan of bagpipes, but they get overlooked, and you've kind of got to be, your team's got to know what they're doing when you've got the bagpipes. You've got to kind of time your surge with the bagpipes to like give everyone freedom and get them off the ground. It's kind of it's an interesting play style. It's something a bit different. They're not bad, but they're not good either. Claymore's one of my favorite units that is not very good, but it does give some good buffs. But it just has this silly thing where if anything has a stagger, these guys just will not get any damage off. They'll be staggered till they die. And then they've got For Freedom that gives them 15 seconds of being really, really strong. But they get sleepy mode after it. That means they're basically insta-killable. And even then, with For Freedom up, if they get staggered, if a Maul jumps into them, does a spin to win, he'll stagger them out so much they don't really get any damage off. So if you're going to use these, what you want to do is make sure the hero is distracted, or the team is distracted, and you're almost going around the back and coming in, because their AoE damage is disgusting, but they can get disrupted so easily. And then Houndsmen, they are good in certain situations, but there are other units you'd be better off with, to be honest. And the dogs, unfortunately, the dogs just get wiped really quickly. If I'm going to say the best use for Houndsmen, it would be like smaller engagements. The ones where your dogs are not going to die. Maybe if you can catch a cav charge off guard with your dogs. They're a bit of a fiddly unit to use, but when it goes right, it really can go right. But yeah, that's Houndsman. This season, maybe mid-tier. We'll see. We'll see where we put it. Moving on, Paragon, we've got the Alchemists. I'm not a big fan of the Alchemists. I think it's a nice idea. I think the Bagpipes I preferred to the Alchemists, just because they run right into combat when they try and heal someone. You can use their Doctrine to just, AoE heal without them needing to go into combat or go into too close to the combat. But yeah, not really worth it most of the time. Banner Guard, the biggest disappointment. Banner Guard, really, they looked really cool. I liked the idea of them, but they ended up being just a little bit complicated, convoluted. You just ended up having to do too many things to make them do well, when you can just take another unit that you do a normal charge or something. And yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. I'd like to see something happen to those. Moving on. Chevaliers. Chevaliers used to be ridiculous when you put them with the blue crossbows. Or no, sorry, the green crossbows it was. Then that got nerfed. They've had like a sequences of nerfs. They are okay. They can do well. You can take multiple different units with them. But yeah, they're a little bit fiddly to play. You got to kind of know what you're doing. But they can score a decent amount. I wouldn't say they're bad by any stretch. So that's Paragon. Moving on to Helheim. This was a really irritating season. One, we only had 2 units that I thought there was no content. It was terrible. Huskals need so much work. They can be good. I've done a video on them, but yeah, they're not quite finished. And then VGs. VGs used to be incredible, but unfortunately they got nerfed into the ground, and now they're kind of useless compared to a lot of their T5 brothers. So yeah, this season it's looking low. Moving on, Coliseum. I did enjoy this season. Not going to attempt to say the name. Stabby boys with the curved sword and the normal sword. They are basically a bad Sons of Fenrir, in my opinion. A bad Son of Fenrir. They put out a lot of damage very quickly, and yes, what you want to do is catch a hero out, click I think it's their 2 ability, and they'll stab it to death very quickly. But apart from tier 3 lock, I don't really see a point for them. Marmalades, or Murmalones. Murmalones are great. Love Murmalones. They are a shock troop more than a shield unit. So you see something you need to break, you charge them into that, blows that shield wall open. They hit hard, but when they're not in a formation, they take so much damage. So you got to be prepared for that. That they can be a shock troop that you throw and forget. But if you manage it well, they can do so good. They can do so good. And then Regenerii, the T5 javelins, a bit lackluster. Again, a small unit size that is really irritating. I'd like this to be like not 15, a like 20-man unit, like an actual T5 Jav. But I know what they were going for it, but a 12-man unit, maybe 15 would be okay. 15 or 16, I think actually would probably work for them. Really cool looking unit. I just wish it was, I wish it was more Jav orientated. Moving on, we're going to go to Scorpio even. Starting off with Jangjust. Jangjust for tier 3 lock are really good fun. I did a video on them not so long ago. They can really pull some numbers together. They can be okay further on than that, but there is just too many shields that these guys kind of suffer a bit after that. So yeah, it's a shame. We do also have the advantage of having Chain Dart Hero that you can unlock in this season. But we'll go for the Camel next. Camels are very good at stopping Cav. Bit fiddly, some kind of bad AI. You can have like some of them turn up, some of them are stuck on a wall somewhere. But overall, played properly and in a team, really nice. Can like stop a lot. So I enjoy camels a lot, but some people hate them. And then obviously Chain Dart is a weapon. It's like basically like a dual blades sort of thing. Assassin can be really strong and is kind of really strong. You can global people. If you like an assassin, this is worth unlocking in this season. And then assassins again, a small unit size, kind of irritating, but nonetheless they can be really dominant if you play them properly. But you know, in the current meta with men at arms, I had some run past some men at arms with somebody AFK with his men at arms on cover commander, and these guys just ran like within 10 feet or few feet of his his assassins. My assassins ran about 10 feet past his men-at-arms, and they all ran over and killed them. So it's kind of irritating, but you kind of want to use these like Fenrir, jump on targets that are miles away. And then moving on to the next season, that is Eternal shotgun pikes. They're okay. Tier 3 lock, maybe they'll do okay, but nothing to scream home about. Crescent monks used to be so powerful. They were so strong. Just spin to win. But they got nerfed. Can be good in little situations, but nothing to scream about anymore. Again, small unit size. You lose 2 of them, you basically lost the whole thing. And then YOLO Cav. YOLO Cav is still very good. It's been brought down slightly, but it's still very good. The one thing in this season that you would be wanting to go for would be the YOLO Cav. 100%. And then we will move to the next one. That is going to be Sanduku. Sanduku, we'll start off with the Ronin. Ronin, kind of samurai. They look pretty cool, tier 3, but you don't see them that often. They're kind of a bit weird to play. You can catch people out with them, like if you go around the back, sort of thing. Sneaky, but I wouldn't say they're the best by any means. Mushas are really nice, easy to play. Not a frontline unit, but like a kind of a side attack, sneak attack unit. They are strong, but the main thing about them, they're easy to play. So as a new player, Mushas, very nice. And then Orochi Samurai. Orochi Samurai are incredibly useful, really good at infantry, and really good if you time it right at cavalry. Yeah, solid unit. Just learn to time it right and you'll do it. So this season is looking good. Moving on to the last season we're in, Nightfall. We're starting with the Healing Archers. Healing Archers are good if you like that sort of like that gameplay, that sort of style. That is support role. I sometimes like bring them out just to change up a bit of the gameplay, and yeah, just give myself something different to do. So I can't complain about them. They're not the best, they're not the worst. Kriegsbrunders. These guys are, when I was saying in the Scourge of Winter that Armored Lancers used to be the best PvE cavalry for like doing your bandit raids, these guys are now the best PvE cavalry. They heal themselves so much, they do so much damage. You can pick yourself up 400 kills easily in bandit raids with these guys. In PvP though, they can struggle, but your smaller engagements, just trying to, because they're fast, you want to go and catch the small individual people out as they're moving from point to point. I wouldn't go and chuck these into a huge mosh pit. Like if you were doing Winged Hussars, you can actually charge those directly like through, and you might, as long as there's nothing that's going to stop them too heavily, you'll probably pick up quite a lot of kills. Where I wouldn't do that with these. These are much more roam around, find individual pockets, but they're very good. They're very good. Kind of difficult to play sometimes, but good. And then Zweihanders. Zweihanders are... I've had a lot of hate for Zweihanders for a while, but in the last week of this season, I started using them a lot and getting more and more used to them, and I'm happy to say I quite like them, and I think they're pretty good if played properly. Yeah, I like them a lot. So I think I'm going to do another updated video on Zweihanders when we can use them again once the tier 5 unlocks. So, but yes, I would say Zweihanders are actually good. You just need to avoid being like crippled by range. Yeah, so Zweihanders. And then we move to this season that I can't really talk about too much because I only have experience on the PTR with these boys and the PTR with all of these. We have experience with these now, but PTR with these boys. And obviously, if you saw that video, they weren't very good. But I know they've had a buff. So we're yet to see that. There'll be videos out on both of these units at some point. But the Caradox Cavalry we have been using, and it's actually pretty good. It's fun, and it fits that role of tier 3 Cav. I haven't been in any maps yet where I can do like a proper thing. I need to do some sailing out or something with them. The only issue you've got with tier 3 is that the number 1 unit in the tier 3 lock is halberdiers that will just totally stop these guys in their tracks. So it can get kind of tricky sometimes to get a good cav charge off. But, you know, if it goes well, these guys will pick up a lot. I do think they're on equal footings with Courtiers. Courtiers, if you put the right doctrines in, they can have no cooldown effectively on their charge, but they're a little bit slower. They're not so... it's a bit harder to get the Courtiers going, where these guys, once you get them going, you go there, and then you charge off to that side, and then you might turn them back around and charge back. You just got to be quicker with the charges. But yeah, I think they fit nicely. They do a decent amount of damage as well. And we will find out on those guys. So, now that we have done this, we are going to move on to putting them in a tier list. And we'll be quick about it because this video is getting long. Okay, tier list. We'll be quick about this. Tier 2, Season 2, we're going D. I don't think it's worth unlocking at all, especially if you're a new player. Maybe come back to it once you have everything else unlocked, but not for me. And this is my opinion, by the way, before I start getting things that I'm wrong. This is my opinion. You might have your own. And we're going to move on to the next season, that is the Maul season. I'm going to put this at B because... actually, I'm going to put it at A because Maul is super strong as a weapon. If you know, you play that right, god damn, it's incredible. And there is a lot of TW units in there. Falconettis, Fortebraccios, that sort of thing. So I'm going to put it at A. I'd say if you get into TW, that's a really good one to unlock. But if you're not into TW, then I wouldn't bother. Into the Sealadar season, we're going to go and put that in C. Yeah, it's the Janissaries, worth getting. And then the Sealadars are fun, but everything else is just no good at the moment. No good at all. Legacy of Fire. We've got Stalwarts. That's going to go in B. Stalwarts are pretty good. Coconuts. Actually, Coconuts. I forget Coconuts in there. Coconuts, Stalwarts, Flamethrowers. No, I'm going to leave that in B. I think the usefulness is good. Actually, no, that's going to go in A. If I've done A for the Maul season, I feel like Coconuts, they're great. Flamethrowers, TW, Stalwarts, good. No, going back in B. I'm going to put it in B. I'm putting it in B. Moving on, Scourge of Winter. That is going in C. Its Lanchnecks are kind of worth unlocking, but everything else is a bit meh. There's better things out there. Wolves Ragnarok, that's the one. That is Berserkers, kind of useless. Femira are okay. Shield Maidens have dropped off massively. You're gonna have to get through the. We're gonna put those in B as well. I'm gonna put those B. If they had a weapon or something, maybe if they had have actually done something good in that season and done something like Dual Axe Berserker hero class, then that would be up there. That'd be in A with the Maul. I feel like it would be just as useful. But yeah, Dynasty. I'm going to put Dynasty in Madao. Useful. Pike. I mean, if you like Pike, I'm going to put that in A, purely because I feel like the old men are still playable in a way. The monks, I mean, it's tier 3, you know, so most of them you throw away, and not throw away, but like you don't really bring to a higher game anyway. You have Pike in there, and then you've got Madao that cover a lot of anti-cav bases, TW, a few things like that. So there is a usefulness to them, I feel. So A is where we're going to go with those. The Tyranny, I'm going to put that. I want to put that in A as well, purely because you got Outriders that are really annoying but good. You've got Axe Raiders, a kind of solid mid-tier, good to learn to play Javs, kind of. And then you've got Shenjis that can be incredible in the right hands. So, yeah, I'm feeling I think that's okay. I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with A on that one. I feel like there's enough usefulness in there that puts it in A. But a loose A. And then we have the Scottish season that I am going to put in C. Kind of not that useful. A fun season, a fun like group to play, but yeah, not that great overall, as in a general. French season with Chevaliers, that's also going to go. That's going to go here as well. Alchemists, they can be quite fun to play, but they're no good really. Then you've got Banner Guard. The one that's the redeeming factor in there is Chevaliers, and even those have fallen off a bit, so it's going in C. We're going to put Helheim in D, for one, being that they only released 2 units, so that, for one, irritates me. And that Husk Elves, as cool as they look, just don't play in the right way that you want them to. And then VGs were really good, but now they just get overshadowed by everything else, so it's going in D. Scorpio, even. No, not Scorpio. The Coliseum. I'm putting that in A. No, I'm not putting that in A. Murmalodes I really like, though. But, you know, you're going to have to work your way through only one tier 3 to get to them, but I just don't think the Regenerii are worth going all the way to unlock them. But if the caveat on this one, I'm going to put it in B. I do think Murmaloes, the shield unit, is definitely worth unlocking. So you're going to have to go through the tier 3, get to the shields, and then I just leave it there. Moving on to Scorpio. This is Scorpio. Yes, it is. So Camels, Jangjus, and Assassins. As much as I want to put it, I could put it in A. I do think Assassins have value, but they can be fiddly to use. Camels, I think the AI needs an improvement. Again, I think I'm going to put that in B, but I'm going to put it as a high B. It's going to be top of B, because yeah, I think it's the Jangjus are very good in tier 3 lock, but oh god, it's a difficult one. Yeah, I'm going to keep it. No, I'm going to actually put it at the end of A. No, it's staying in B. Stick with your first decision. Plum, stick with your first decision. Then we move on to Eternal. Eternal is going to be B as well. Monks fallen off massively. Shotgun pikes are kind of nothing. The only thing you want to be going for here is the YOLO cav, and that means you've got to go through 2 units to then unlock the full YOLO cav. That means you basically have 2 units that you won't use to just get one that you do use. So yeah, I feel like it's going in B just because of that. If monks were still good, then that would have been higher, much higher. And now we move on to Sanduku, that's going S tier. Yes, Ronin aren't that great, but Mushas are really easy to use. They always kind of pull a solid result. And then you've got Orochi Samurai that are really, really good. So yeah, worthwhile. And then I'm now going to move on to Nightfall. Nightfall is going to be A tier. Granted, the Healing Archers is kind of a unique playstyle. I don't think they're bad whatsoever. I actually think they're really good if played properly. Then you've got the Kriegsbrunders, incredible PvE cav, can be really good in PvP as well, played properly. And then you've got the Zweihanders. We've had a up and down history, but it's finished with me thinking, you know what, they are actually really good when you know, don't just chuck them into somebody's unit. And then this last one, I can't rate. It's to be considered. It could be anywhere. It could be anywhere up here, depending on how they are. If we're going off the PTR, there. But I know they've been buffed since then. So I'm going to guess, though. It will go in there because I think they might have been over buffed. We will find out. I don't know yet. But for now, we can't put them back down. We'll just put them in B. For now, we don't know. But as it stands, the Caradox Cavalry, it's fun. It fits the bill. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is it. I know this has been an incredibly long video, long-winded. But I hope you've enjoyed it. If you like this sort of content, I'd really appreciate the sub. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.